Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. It is Tuesday, and it is 8:30 a.m. EST, and that's February the 4th. You may have noticed there was no Sunday video, and a lot of that is because I just had some family obligations. And on top of that, the market was extremely difficult to predict. So, anybody watching the news or anybody paying attention and not living under a rock would be able to know that the market was just wild over the weekend. So, let's go ahead and jump into the charts, and we'll also take a look at the news. And we'll do basically here what I usually do on Sunday, but a very condensed version of it. And there's just a lot of uncertainty, at least through today, right? Because we got President Trump speaking later today, so the markets might be kind of on the edge of their seat with low volatility. So the biggest news that affected things in a very bearish way, if you will, at least temporarily bearish, was the tariffs. And if you look at the news right now, it's all over the financial news headlines: tariffs this, tariffs that, China's going to do this, Mexico, Canada, that. And the main takeaway here is that the tariffs that were being imposed on China and Canada, those were held off. And I know with Mexico, it was going to be held off for about a month because they agreed to send people to the border and do whatever it was that Trump asked them to do. And the same with Canada. I don't know if a month was the word on that, but those tariffs are being held off. So you had this big move down, and Bitcoin is showing right here on the chart. So before we get too far into Bitcoin, what really is going to drive everything now is going to be more like the indices, like the SP 500, right? So you had a massive gap down right here. And whatever happens here is going to kind of be reflected in crypto. So we want to pay attention right here. Massive gap down on the Sunday open. So if I go down to the 30-minute chart where we can look at information in a little more granular sense, you can see that on the market open on Sunday, you have this massive gap down. This was the futures open, right? And of course, you're going to see that reflected in the Monday spot open for those funds. But there's a massive move down, and then price kind of started creeping back up, but it's more or less holding down in this area below the prior ranges that you can kind of look back and see. And it's easier to see that on a high time frame chart. But price was moving sideways as predicted or as expected the prior week. But you see on Friday, you start to see some pretty hard moves down as tariff news started to come out, right? So last week, of course, we had the Sunday fun day based on the DeepSeek information. And then that kind of chilled out as the market started to understand more about that, and price started to head back up. And then, of course, we have the tariffs information that comes out more or less over the weekend, and that compressed price and dragged Bitcoin down with it. So going back to Bitcoin, what's going to happen now? Well, today I think it's going to be slow. I don't think there will be a lot of price action because, again, Trump speaks later today. It's going to be about Israel and Hamas, and those type of headline risks can be pretty powerful. But on top of that, looking at the algos, there's a lot of sort of downward pressure right now. And although price at the moment is holding up in a way that's a bit more resilient than I expected, I do expect price for the moment to remain below, definitely below 108 and quite possibly below 102. This little move up that we saw as of the last, several hours, 4 or 5 hours, that's a little more bullish than I thought it would be. Market kind of holding up prior to the open here that's coming up, the New York Open. So the fact that it's holding up like this is actually a kind of a nice sign. I'm sure it's reflected here, right here in the futures market. Anything that Bitcoin is doing right now is going to be reflected again in the futures market. So that's where the eyes really should be as far as what's going to happen. And the Trump talks are going to be today later at 2:10 p.m. So to go through these charts and say what I think is going to happen the week ahead is going to be pretty difficult. And I did have the bottom of the range marked where the arrow was right now, and that is a higher time frame look. So if I were to kind of zoom out here, you'll notice that there's a lot of stuff on the chart. So I'm going to delete some of it, make it a little easier to see. And I'm going to go to a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the daily right here, and you'll notice that despite some of this gobbledygook right here, you can see that there is a higher time frame range, and price kind of dipped back into that. So let me go ahead and jump over to a different chart here so we don't have a lot of the markings on it. And you'll see that I have delineated here that range, and price did make its way above and start to actually create a range that's between more or less 102 and 107, 108. So that is a new kind of a range that started to get created, but then price dumped back down into this prior range that it had broken out of earlier based on, a lot of bullish stuff in the space and things like that. So that's what we're looking at right now. We're just looking at price back in this lower range between 93,000 and 103,000 more or less. And to look at the price action, I probably would redefine this as, yeah, that's fine. 102, 103, and the top end would be really 107. But I'm a little more comfortable knowing how Bitcoin generally behaves to say it's probably going to, if it pops up, it's going to go between more or less 103 and 108. And if it stays down below here, it's probably going to go between about 90,000 really, not 93, but 90,000 and about 100,000, maybe 101, depending on, a few factors. I could even have the top of that range be a little closer to 99,000, but I think between 90 and 100 is a nice even number. Price is demonstrating that. And until it breaks below 90, I'm not really going to be too worried about it, even if, and I don't like the term worried. I like volatility. If Bitcoin price goes below 90,000, you better believe I'll be out there trading it, because that's a lot of good volatility that we use as traders, right? And this comes to the message of, if you're just watching the charts and you're not doing anything about it, then what are you doing? We at Algo Factory have the capability to make money as volatility hits. So that's what we have. And we also have via the Guerilla here in the house. How are you, sir?
Hello, how are you?
Doing good. We're talking about Bitcoin and basically all the volatility that's being caused by news of tariffs and a lot of people freaking out. Usual stuff.
Oh, that is very good, my friend. Yes, I was talking to a very good friend last night, and yeah, we had
Hey,
come
by
to
the way, before you
agreement.
get too far, we are on. We are not private live
Oh,
yet.
we're not. Oh, then
Yeah, I don't want
I don't
to.
say this for the private. So
Yeah, I don't want to spoil. So
my
for
dad always says, if you can do something, don't do it for free.
that's pretty good, dude. That sounded like Heath Ledger Joker. It's like on
It
the spot.
is.
That was really
It
good.
is.
So just so you know, everybody, and we'll take a look at a chart or two before we jump over, because like I said, we didn't do a Sunday video. I had some family obligations, but long story short, the market might remain pretty calm this week or not. It really depends on what happens with the news. Via the Guerilla, and for those of you who don't know, Via the Guerilla is very well placed in the crypto and the precious metals business, and for many, many years has been well placed in the geopolitical side of things, which really markets either run geopolitical or the other way around. You can't have one without the other. So as we move over to the private live lab here in just a minute, after I look at maybe another chart or two, we're probably going to find out some information that's going to give us an idea of what will probably happen this week, this month, this year in markets. And the only way to get that is to be part of Algo Factory. That's algofactory.tech. So I'm going to take a brief look at the ES1 here, the futures market, and I'm just going to look at it algorithmically. I know there's a lot of crap on that chart, and that's okay. We don't need to worry about that. What we do need to pay attention to is that right now, the SP 500 on a very high time frame is bullish, because it just always is. But there is some algorithmic indication that price may want to continue to range for the SP 500. And that range, to me, at least to my metrics here, looks like it's going to be more or less between 5,900 and 6,100. And if it ranges up there, that's great. I know everybody's freaking out. Oh, there's tariffs, this and that, and the market's dumping. And well, you know what? Let me tell you something. And I keep harping on this, and I'm kind of probably getting annoying to the Algo Factory members about this, because we got a lot of Algo Factory members, and they're happy to come on and listen to us talk about things. And I mean, it's worth the money to come listen to us do our thing and watch these charts and all that. But if you're not building your algos, then you're just coming to listen to stuff. I mean, that's cool. It's worth the money, but I can take advantage of these moves as price heads down. While everybody else is just sitting holding their spot bags, looking at their, crypto value going down by 20%. I'm over here hedging and I'm able to make some money on that. So that's the difference between people who have algos built and people who don't. So yeah, I do expect a ranging price action high time frame on this unless there is some really kind of remarkable news. And the clue we have to that is that every time there's a big dump because Trump this or tariffs that or DeepSeek this or whatever, price keeps getting more or less held up. Now, not to say it will always be held up. It will look at it level by level, but for the moment, I do expect ranging price action until it's not ranging. So I know that's not a lot of news, but that's just how trading often is. We look at the charts as they are, we assess them, we trade accordingly. So via the Guerilla, we can talk about Solana and all kinds of other charts over in the private live lab, but can you please get us over there, sir?
Yeah, listen, guys. Look, there's a lot of things that we talk about, a lot of things that I divulge, and it's not here on the public. So look, join. I mean, we got people that are paying $50 a month just for the intel, just for the analysis, just for the trends forecasting that we do, and I mean, just come on board, and look, it's less than the price of a dollar of a bottle of water right now, $1.66 per day. So join us, guys. Be a part of something amazing. With that being said, Cowboy takes out.
Join us or die.